And so, you watch Lamar, who's a very unique talent. Baker is more of a traditional pocket guy who can move a little. For the record, Baker's thinner than last year, looks way more athletic than last year. We said last year we thought he looked puffy. Baker now, I think, has lost weight. He moves a little bit better. I thought last night he had a couple moves out to the right side. I was like, he's got a little speed.
Carrying all those groceries.
That's right. He's really cut down. So here we go. We're going to call it Baker or Lamar.
All right. Who wins more games this season, Baker or Lamar?
I'll go with Baker. He's got 9. Lamar's got 8. And in Week 17, Baker and Cleveland play Pittsburgh. The Steelers could be locked into the number 2 seed. And if they have some players that are banged up, they could rest them. So I'm going to say Cleveland. And I think today Cleveland's a better team than Pittsburgh anyway.
Who wins a playoff game first, Baker or Lamar?
I would say Lamar. First of all, Lamar's already been in 2 playoff games, so he's got playoff experience. And the second thing is, this is a top 5 defense. Now, they fell apart last night in the secondary, but I find it really hard to win in the playoffs, especially in the AFC with Cleveland's back end. Even if you outplayed a team in your Cleveland in the playoffs, you're going to face a Josh Allen, a Derek Carr, a Patrick Mahomes, maybe a Tua. I just think you can't be that bad. It's like we always talk about baseball. You cannot have a bad bullpen. Doesn't matter how good you are. If you're leaking runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, you can't win a World Series. Cleveland's defense, even if they outplay teams, is so bad on the back end, I don't see them winning a playoff game as they're currently constructed.
Who wins the AFC North next?
Well, I would say Lamar because they won it last year. Their salary cap situation's very good next year. And the Browns haven't won it since the 80s. So that's late 80s, but yeah.
Who throws more touchdowns in their career, Baker or Lamar?
Surprising on this, and I'll give you my reasoning. Lamar, first of all, Lamar has a higher touchdown percentage, 6.8, than Baker, 5.2. Remember, Baker, because they've surrounded him with this fortress of wide receiver, tight end talent, will probably never have this much talent again because their cap situation is not great next year and beyond. And they're going to have to pay Baker eventually money. Whereas Lamar already has more right now. He had 36 touchdown passes last year, and that's the weakness of their team, I could argue, is wide receiver. I also think Lamar's ability to scramble and force defensive backs to have to cover for longer will create more. I mean, Baltimore's a big play offense, and a lot of that's because Lamar's running wild. You have to leave your coverage, and guys are wide open.
Who beats the Chiefs first, Baker or Lamar?
Good luck for either. I would say Lamar, 2 of their 3 losses have been one possession. We've overstated Kansas City beating Baltimore. Baltimore's been competitive in 2 of those games.
Who will have more fourth-quarter comebacks?
In their career?
Baker or Lamar, yeah.
Now, this seems like an obvious one. It's not a shot. Baker, because they're going to be trailing late. I mean, if you look at the last 15 years, one of the things Baltimore does exceedingly well is draft. They draft. What does that mean? They've almost always in my life had good defenses. I mean, when hasn't Baltimore been effective defensively? Translation, you're not trailing big in games. So my guess is Cleveland's history of drafting isn't as good. They've got a lot of money tied up on the offensive side. He's going to trail late, and we'll have more opportunities for fourth-quarter comebacks.
Who lasts longer with their current team, Baker or Lamar?
Lamar, number 1, he's been an MVP. That will resonate for years and years. Also, he's winning 79% of his games. So everybody in the building has been all in on Lamar from day one. I think now in the Cleveland building, they're in on him now. But there's still time to go. The other thing is, Joy, if you replace Lamar Jackson, you have to replace, they built the whole team around him. He is such a unique talent, you'd have to get a new coordinator. You would literally draft differently. Baker is a pocket passer who can move a little. You could easily, like a Jared Goff or a Baker Mayfield or a Matt Ryan, there's a lot of guys out there that can run that offense. You're asking, I mean, there's like 3 people on the planet that are built like Lamar that run that offense.
No, they've totally leaned into him. Who has the longer career?
This goes against what you'd think. Lamar. First of all, he's 23. Baker's 25. So there's the advantage there. The second thing is, you think Lamar gets hit more because he runs more. But Baker's been sacked more. Baker gets hit more. And, I will say this. Lamar gets popped about once a game where you're a little uncomfortable. I've seen Baker get smoked multiple times because Baker sometimes thinks he's more athletic than he is and puts himself in harm's way. Lamar is so fast, it is hard to get a clean shot on him because your angles are usually poor because he's just so darn fast.
Who will win a Super Bowl?
I'd say neither.
Neither.
Yeah, I think they'll both. I think Lamar's going to have a great career, but you're asking me, look at all these young quarterbacks. So Trevor Lawrence is coming in, Joe Burrow's coming in, Justin Herbert's in, Josh Allen's in, Patrick Mahomes in. Well, that's just the AFC. Now you're going to have Justin Fields, by the way, is going to be in the AFC. We know Pittsburgh will eventually draft another quarterback. In the NFC, you got Aaron Rodgers playing for a year. And you got Russell Wilson. And you got Jared Goff and McVay. And you got Kyle Shanahan. And in the end, I just look at all these offensive coaches, all this quarterbacks. We got four new quarterbacks coming in. I would just take, almost outside of Kansas City, I would almost say maybe Green Bay because of Aaron Rodgers and Seattle, Russell Wilson.
But so much can happen. You have injuries.
Well, yeah, but I mean.
So if you had to choose between Baker and Lamar.
I think Baltimore's structural foundation has been far superior to Cleveland's. So I would take Baltimore Baltimore won a Super Bowl with a defense once, like not throwing the ball much down the field. So their history is they'll be in contention more than Cleveland. That's fair, right?
That's fair.
But Baker's going to dominate fourth quarter comebacks. By the way, Doug Peterson, talking about quarterbacks, Doug Peterson has named Jalen Hurts the starter. And it is, speaking of quarterbacks, it's interesting because the remaining games, so Jalen Hurts is 1-0. All right, I'll throw the game up. You tell me what you think. I think if he wins, it doesn't create a solution. It creates a problem. So they're at Arizona this week. The reason I like Arizona, because in practice every day they face a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, I like Arizona this week.
So Jalen's 1-1 at Dallas. I
like Philly.
So do I. 2-1. Washington.
I think it depends on who's playing quarterback. But if it's Alex, then I would probably lean Washington because they can win the division. So they have more to play for than Philly.
It is interesting, though. If they split Arizona-Dallas, he's 2-1. If they won Washington, 3-1, and you get into this situation where, oh boy, what's the offseason like? Let me tell you, WIP radio is going all with who's winning now. Nick Foles 3 years ago was Tom Brady. So, you get into a situation.
Can you blame them? It's been a really rough season.
I used to always, or almost always, when a quarterback was coming into the NFL, I would say, I don't know if it'd be good. I'm to the point now where when quarterbacks come in, I'm like, yeah, it'll work to some level. It's Paxton Lynch and Josh Rosen. Didn't work. Everybody else is kind of working.
Even Trubisky can mess around and win a game or two.
He's got a winning record.
Yeah.
Trubisky, I don't think they built him. If Tariq Cohen was playing this year and they had more juice offensively, Trubisky, again, athletically, if you have a good defense, you win games with Trubisky.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not endorsing that.